Hi, my name's Dan Nutburn, and it's my pleasure to be the Partner Account Manager at Red Hat for Sabeo Technologies, our leading technology partner in Ireland. We're here today at the Westin Hotel in Dublin for another of our successful technology update sessions.
So what is it? What's KVM or RHEV? Essentially it's a standalone hypervisor. It's a small footprint, so it's less than 100 megs. It runs on all RHEV certified hardware, so all software and hardware certification is inherent, and it runs with Intel VT and AMD vCPUs. Really easy to install, configure and upgrade, so you can do like Pixie boots, USB boots, CD or hard drive. Some of the new features, so the RHEV hypervisor is now based on RHEV 6.2 kernel, so there's a lot of performance and scalability enhancements that are provided in Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 6.2 with kernel scheduler, memory management, networking. But there's also an enhanced performance of the SPICE protocol to be able to do desktop virtualization optimized on a WAN infrastructure. The second part of it, so there's two elements. So there's a hypervisor and there's management tools. Naturally, that's how the infrastructure works. RHEV Manager now runs on RHEL. It's got a RESTful API. It's got a power user portal. It's got granular multi-level admin. It's got an embedded reporting engine, local disk support, and it's got a tech preview of the web admin. Some of the key differences is now that it's the 6.2 based hypervisor. It's got a new text-based UI. It's got support for remote syslog, and you can configure ISC as the initiator name. The other element of it was this push on desktop virtualization. So, like I said, SPICE was a protocol built from the ground up. There's two major protocols that a lot of people do remote desktop with. There's VNC and there's remote desktop, and a lot of people have tried to wrap around a lot of things around it to be able to do optimization on the WAN. SPICE was built from the ground up with one premise and one premise alone, to give the user the same experience that he would get on a fat client that he would get on a thin client. So on RHEV 3, the SPICE release has been updated to 0.8. There's significant performance improvements. It's actually built for WAN deployments, and it's also built to reduce your bandwidth consumption. You can do copy and paste. It's got smart card support, and it's got a new guest agent for Linux, so you've got single sign-on, dynamic resolution matching, and also monitoring. So it's about the ability to allow you to run a server virtualization platform, but actually say, hey, you know what, I want to use the same platform to do my desktop virtualization, and you don't need any more subscriptions besides kind of the subscription to enable your desktop. So the same hypervisor applies. You don't need to change anything besides buying a new subscription to give you the SPICE protocol.
So if you look at all of the clouds mentioned on that slide, all of the public clouds really that are around, pretty much with the exception of Azure, are all built on top of Linux. Now, some of those cases it's Red Hat Linux. Sometimes it's plain Linux, but it's something that we have an enormous part as part of what we do of investing into. Similarly, if you look at the actual applications that are running on those clouds, it's probably about 80% of the virtual machines that are running on public cloud today are Linux-based virtual machines. So when you compare that to within the data center, where maybe it's the other way around, maybe 20 to 30% of machines and installed instances of operating systems are running Linux, you can see that again this is a sea change in the way that traditional technology is being run. So all of a sudden it enables users to get the latest technology, the latest innovation, and use the technologies that they want to, so that the user is much more in control. When you look at private cloud, for instance, it's a little bit harder to get the numbers than it is for public cloud. But again, we see Linux and the open source technologies being an absolute key part of very many of the private clouds that people are putting together today. So, coming back to the enterprise IT world as it is today, the issue is that while on the one hand there are public cloud providers who are offering low-cost, and pretty flexible solutions already, albeit with increased risk from the point of view of IT departments. At the same time, IT departments are battling with the existing legacy solutions that they've got, and trying to work out what it is they need to do to move those into a more agile architecture to enable some of the capabilities and benefits that cloud can provide. So what they're looking to do is maintain some of the control, the standardization, the lower risk of their environments, but also looking to evolve those environments into a way that offers some of the advantages that, for example, a public cloud provider can do. This is the option that Red Hat is driving at. This is where our strategy for cloud lies, is to build an open hybrid cloud. And I'll explain what I mean more in terms of with those terms shortly. But what we're talking about is being able to convert and evolve all of the existing investments that you have within your data center, within IT, and to be able to use those and to have the agility to move those within an infrastructure as a service, and also to move those out to public cloud, or to move public cloud infrastructures in-house as and when is appropriate. One key part, not by any means the entire part, but one key part of our cloud strategy and our cloud offering is a technology called CloudForms. And what CloudForms is aiming to do is enable end customers to build their own open hybrid clouds. So this is technology which is open source, open standards at every different layer of the stack, so that they're not locked into any particular vendor. That's hybrid, that means that they're able to control their use of public cloud, internal cloud, and legacy non-cloud applications from one place. So the idea of CloudForms is to provide the self-service capability to end users while maintaining all of the requirements that internal IT has today. So in terms of managing governance, or managing auditability or consistency of estate, standard systems management tasks, but also bringing to end users within an organisation all of the things that they're looking for out of cloud today, in terms of control, agility, elastic scalability, self-service, all of those kind of different things. There are plenty of people out there who are making a big thing of supposedly being open, and it's worth checking whether when they say they're open, they're actually conforming to all of these different characteristics. So I've talked a bit about open source, so the capability of avoiding lock-in, because you have access to the source code of the applications that you're running. Open standards, so you can swap in, swap out. Of course, the freedom to use the intellectual property that's available, and the availability to choose the infrastructure that's right for you. And a key part where, again, we've been executing for a long time is enabling portability. So it's enabling applications that you have that run today on Red Hat Enterprise Linux to be able to run, whether they're running on bare metal, whether they're running virtualized on VMware or RHEV or Hyper-V, whether they're running out in public clouds today. But the point is enabling that portability within the operating system layer so that you know that your application will run wherever you want it to, and enabling the portability in the systems management layer to make sure that you have the capabilities and the control to be able to move that application to where it ought to be.
So I'm going to go through the IBM technology that we have for 2012. So System X is what we call our x86 brand. So that covers everything from rack servers to tower servers, and including blade centers as well. We have 2 Red Hat optimized models. So basically it's what I've already told about. It's the 3850. This one already comes with the KVM registration card. It already has 2 pre-selected processors. These are 4860s. It comes with all the internal memory cards, so all 64 DIMMs internally. You have the Max 5 as you see in the next line, so you're up to 96 DIMMs. We ship that box, as it says, with the KVM, the 4 processors, the 96 4 gig DIMMs with the machine, and we likewise have another offering for the 3690. So it's 2 processor, 2 server with 32 internal DIMMs, and then the Max 5 gives you an additional 32, so you're now up to 64.
Basically, I mean, the premise behind the cost savings of of open source is that there is no license cost, right? The license is the general public license. It's free. So all you're paying for is the hardware and software certifications, the technical support, access to the binaries, and essentially the kind of hardened version of the product. So you're paying for that value that Red Hat gives to you, right? So you could go and download Linux or any other open source project in the world today and run it, but at 2 a.m. in the morning, if it doesn't work, then Google's your best friend, rather than Red Hat or the people that actually build the software. So the premise behind it is that every server needs a subscription, and it's all based on socket levels. So it's 2-socket, 4-socket, and 8-socket. The main difference is the level of support. So there's 3 levels of support. There's self-support, which is essentially no support. You just get the maintenance updates and product fixes. There's standard, which is 9x5 telephone support with a 1 business hour response. So weekdays only. And then there's premium, which is 24/7 with a 1 hour response time. The 3 questions you really need to ask yourself when choosing a Red Hat subscription: 1, what support level you need; 2, how many physical CPU sockets there are on the server; and 3, if you're virtualizing, how many virtual guests are you going to run per physical system. So it's sold on a 1, 4, and an unlimited guest basis. So each one of those subscriptions gives you a base bare metal install plus either 1 guest or 4 guests or unlimited guests. The 4 and the unlimited only available in the standard and premium support levels, only because at that level you probably need that level of support. So if you want to run 1 RHEV guest, like we said, you just buy a RHEV subscription and you run it on whatever platform you want to run it on. However, if let's say you have 4 RHEV guests on a single ESX host or a single RHEV host for that matter, then you'd buy the 4 guest subscription and you could run it on any hypervisor. Now when I say on any hypervisor, it includes the RHEV hypervisor that we spoke about. The main difference, and I think I spoke to somebody in the morning when we were having breakfast, is Red Hat does not have the RAM tax, as they call it now. It's sold on a per socket basis. So you've got 2 different product sets. You've got the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is the operating system, okay, which is this, and then you've got the Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization. So that's the hypervisor. So if you want to run both in parallel, so you've got the hypervisor running underneath and the operating system running on top, you'd have to buy the hypervisor subscription, which gives you the hypervisor, the management tools. And then you'd have to buy the operating system on top of that. The good news is the RHEV hypervisor is sold on a per socket basis. So if you've got a 4-socket box, then you'd buy 4 sockets of RHEV, and that's it. And then you'd calculate how many virtual Red Hat guests you'd need. There is no limit on how many guests you run on top of that RHEV hypervisor. So you're not restricted to running X amount of operating systems on top.